Imagine this for a second. You are 45 years old. It's a quiet Tuesday evening. You're sitting at your kitchen table with a glass of wine and your checkbook. You write one final check. $42,000. Every dollar of your emergency fund? The leftovers from a small inheritance? Months of careful saving. You seal the envelope, mail it to the bank, and take a deep breath. It's done. Your mortgage is gone. Your house is finally yours. No more payments. No more debt. That night, you sleep better than you have in years. You believe you just made the smartest financial decision of your life. But now, let's fast forward 6 months. The economy slows down. Your company starts cutting staff. Your position disappears. Suddenly, your income is zero. You open your bank app. Your balance is almost empty. Because all your cash is sitting inside your house. You still need groceries. You still have an electric bill. Your car's transmission just failed. And as you look around your living room, you realize something uncomfortable. There's $500,000 of equity trapped inside these walls. But you can't eat drywall. You can't pay the mechanic with a brick. You can't Venmo your utility company with a roof tile. So you go to the bank, you ask for a home equity line of credit. They look at your application, they look at your employment status, and they say no. No job, no loan. You are sitting inside a pile of gold. And you're starving. This is what I call the liquidity trap. By obsessing over being debt-free, you didn't make yourself safer. You made yourself fragile. You traded flexibility for a feeling. You traded options for a gold star, and in the process, you quietly destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars of future wealth. My name is Bobby, and I spend an unhealthy amount of time thinking about the emotional lies that keep people stuck in mediocre financial decisions. If you're someone who is currently throwing extra money at your mortgage every month, even though your interest rate is low, just to feel free, this video is for you. Because today, we're going to challenge one of the most sacred beliefs in personal finance. We're going to talk about why paying off your mortgage early is often a mathematical mistake. We'll break down why home equity is dead money, how inflation quietly works in your favor, and why keeping your mortgage might actually make you safer, not riskier. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The pay off your house movement isn't driven by math. It's driven by emotion. It comes from a deep generational fear of debt. For your grandparents, that fear made sense. In the 1930s, in the 1980s, when mortgage rates were 12, 14, even 18%. Back then, paying off debt was survival. If your mortgage was charging you 14% interest, paying it off was a guaranteed 14% return. That was a no-brainer. But today, we live in a completely different financial reality. Many homeowners are sitting on mortgages with rates around 3, 4, or 5%, and yet they're still rushing to eliminate that debt. Why? Because the word debt makes them uncomfortable. But let's strip the emotion out of it. When you pay extra toward a 4% mortgage, you're effectively investing your money at a 4% return. That's it. No upside. No growth. Just interest savings. Now ask yourself something honestly. Would you willingly lock your money into an investment that only earns 4%, has zero liquidity, and punishes you for pulling your money out? Of course not. You could earn more than that in a money market fund. You could earn more in long-term stock investments. Historically, the S&P 500 returns around 8 to 10%. So when you rush to pay off a low-interest mortgage, you're choosing a lower return on purpose. Not because it's optimal, but because it feels safe. You are paying a fear tax, and fear is expensive. In the next section, we're going to talk about how banks use debt to make billions, and how you can use the same strategy to grow your own wealth instead of destroying it. Let's talk about how banks actually make money. A bank takes your savings, they pay you maybe 0.5% in interest, then they turn around and lend that same money back to someone else at 6%. The difference between what they pay you and what they charge borrowers? That spread is their profit. That's the business model. Now here's the part most people never realize. You can use that same model in reverse. If your mortgage rate is 4% and the market can reasonably earn 8% over time, the 4% difference becomes your profit. That gap is called arbitrage. It's not speculation, it's math. Let's put real numbers on it. Imagine you have $100,000 in extra cash. You have two choices. Option 1, you use it to pay down your 4% mortgage. That saves you $4,000 a year in interest. Option 2, you invest it in the market at 8%. That earns you $8,000 a year. The difference is $4,000 every single year. And that difference compounds. Over 30 years, that decision is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you rush to pay off your house, you are killing that spread. You are firing your most productive employee. Leverage. You're choosing to work harder for less money. Now, at this point, someone always says, but debt is risky. And yes, debt can be risky. But most people misunderstand what risk actually is. They think risk means owing money. I define risk differently. Risk is not having access to money. When you send extra principal to your mortgage, that money disappears. It doesn't grow. It doesn't generate income. It doesn't protect you. It becomes equity. And equity is illiquid. You can't spend it. You can't invest it. You can't use it in an emergency. It just sits there quietly doing nothing until you sell the house. Or try to borrow against it. And borrowing against it is only easy when you don't need the money. Banks love lending to people with jobs. They hate lending to people in trouble. So let's compare two people. Person A has a paid-off house and almost no cash. Person B has a mortgage but also has $500,000 in investments. If both people lose their jobs, who is safer? The person with the cash. They can sell assets, they can pay bills, they can survive for years. The person with the paid-off house has shelter, but no flexibility. They're house rich and cash poor. And remember, even if your mortgage is gone, you still owe property taxes. Miss those and the government will take the house anyway. So no, a paid-off house does not guarantee security. Liquidity does, cash does, options do. In the next section, we're going to talk about inflation and how it quietly turns long-term debt into a financial advantage instead of a burden. Now let's talk about inflation, because inflation is the silent force most people completely misunderstand. Inflation hurts savers, but it helps borrowers. When you take out a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, you lock in your housing cost for decades. Your monthly payment stays the same, but the value of the dollar does not. Every year your money is worth a little less. That means the real cost of your mortgage shrinks over time. In 2025, a $2,000 payment might feel heavy. It could be 25% of your income. But in 20 years, that same $2,000 might feel like $800 does today. Your income will likely rise, your expenses will inflate, but your mortgage stays frozen in time. The bank lent you strong dollars, you pay them back with weaker ones. That's a hidden advantage. And when you pay off your mortgage early, you destroy that advantage. You're choosing to repay the bank with valuable dollars today instead of cheap dollars in the future. You are helping the lender, not yourself. Inflation is slowly eating the real value of your debt for you. All you have to do is wait. But instead, many people rush to eliminate that debt as fast as possible. They treat it like a threat, when in reality, it's quietly working in their favor. Now let's look at the opportunity cost. This is the money you never see because you never let it exist. Imagine your mortgage payment is $2,000. You decide to be aggressive. You add an extra $1,000 every month to pay it off in 15 years. You feel disciplined. You feel responsible. But let's run the alternative. What if you invested that same $1,000 every month instead? Over 15 years at a 10% return, that investment grows to around $400,000. But here's the key part. You don't stop after 15 years. You keep investing for the full 30-year period. By the end, that account is worth close to $2 million. Meanwhile, the person who rushed to pay off the house early has a paid-off home worth maybe $800,000. The house would have appreciated either way. But the investment account only exists if you didn't kill it. That's a difference of over $1 million. That's the cost of emotional comfort. Peace of mind isn't free, it's just invisible. And here's the psychological trap. People think a paid-off house unlocks freedom. They tell themselves, once the mortgage is gone, then I'll invest. But life doesn't work like that. When the payment disappears, so does the discipline. Lifestyle expands, spending creeps in. The money that could have built wealth gets absorbed by nicer vacations, bigger cars, and better furniture. Keeping the mortgage forces structure. It forces budgeting. It keeps consumption in check while your investments grow quietly in the background. In the next section, we're going to talk about lawsuits, asset protection, and why looking poor on paper can actually make you safer. There's another angle most people never consider. Asset protection. When your house is completely paid off, all that equity becomes visible. On paper, you look rich, and in the world of lawsuits, looking rich makes you a target. If someone sues you, creditors look for assets they can claim. A home with 100% equity is a very attractive prize. But if your house still has a large mortgage, the bank technically owns most of it. There's very little for anyone else to take. High debt makes you look less appealing to go after. Meanwhile, your real wealth can stay liquid, diversified, and harder to touch. This is why many wealthy individuals never rush to pay off their homes. They understand that debt can act as a shield, not just a tool. Now let's briefly touch on taxes. Years ago, the mortgage interest deduction was a major incentive to keep debt. Today, fewer people itemize, so I'm not even relying on tax benefits for this argument. The math already works without them. But if you do itemize, the government is effectively subsidizing your interest rate. If your mortgage is 4% and you're in a 25% tax bracket, your real cost is closer to 3%. That lowers the bar even further. It makes investing the smarter move. Now let's address the emotional objections. What if the market is flat for 10 years? What if I retire and can't make the payments? These fears sound logical, but they're already solved by liquidity. If you've been investing instead of prepaying your mortgage, you don't just have assets, you have options. If the market slows, you still own the principal. If you retire, your investments can produce income. You can build a synthetic payoff. For example, $500,000 earning 4% generates $20,000 a year. That can cover most mortgages. You are effectively debt-free without giving up control of your money. The difference is ownership. When your cash sits in investments, you control it. When your cash sits in your walls, the bank controls your access to it. You have to ask permission. True financial independence is not about eliminating liabilities. It's about controlling assets. In the next section, we're going to talk about the only situations where paying off your mortgage early actually makes sense. Now, let me be clear. There are situations where paying off your mortgage early makes sense, but they're rare. If your interest rate is 8 or 9%, that's a guaranteed return that beats most investments. In that case, paying down the debt is smart. Math wins. Another case is behavioral. If you know you can't control your spending, if extra cash always turns into shoes, boats, and impulse purchases, then paying off the house acts like forced savings. Not optimal, but safer for undisciplined behavior. However, if you're disciplined, if you're already investing, if you're trying to optimize, low-interest mortgage debt is not a burden. It's an asset. It's a relic from a low-rate era that may never return. To eliminate it early is to destroy a powerful financial tool. Debt is not evil. Debt is leverage. Corporations use it. Governments use it. The wealthy use it. They use it to grow faster, stay liquid, and amplify returns. Only the middle class is taught to rush to zero. But zero is not safety. Zero leverage means zero acceleration. Zero liquidity means zero options. Security doesn't come from eliminating debt. It comes from controlling cash. So here's the practical shift. Stop sending extra money to the mortgage company. Take that $200, $500, or $1,000 each month and redirect it. Open a separate investment account. Name it something intentional: your freedom fund, your liquidity fund, your optionality fund. Set up automatic contributions. Same amount, same schedule. Let the system work quietly. Over time, you'll see the difference. Not just in your net worth, but in your confidence. Because when an emergency hits, you won't be staring at your walls. You'll be staring at your balance. In the final section, we're going to tie everything together and redefine what real financial security actually looks like. Let's bring this together. Most people chase a paid-off house because it feels like safety. No debt, no payments, no stress. But that feeling is emotional, not mathematical. Real safety doesn't come from eliminating obligations. It comes from having options. Options come from liquidity. Liquidity comes from cash and investments. A paid-off house is a trophy. It looks impressive, it feels comforting, but it doesn't protect you in a crisis. You can't sell a bathroom to buy groceries. You can't cash out a roof to fix your car. You can't swipe your foundation at the hospital. A large investment portfolio, on the other hand, is an army. It gives you flexibility, it gives you time, it gives you control. When life hits you, you don't panic. You respond. That's real security. So, if you're currently sending extra money to your mortgage company every month, pause. Not because debt is good, but because your money is more powerful in your hands than it is inside your walls. Take that same amount, invest it. Let it grow. Let inflation quietly shrink your debt while your assets quietly expand. Over time, you'll realize something important. You don't need to own your house outright to feel safe. You need to own your future. And the future belongs to the people who keep their capital liquid, their strategy flexible, and their decisions driven by math, not fear. If this changed the way you think about paying off your home, share it with someone who's obsessed with being debt-free. Not to argue with them, but to show them the numbers, because peace of mind is nice. But financial freedom is better.